Quadratic equation and the roots of quadratic equation, a very common topic on your exam. Let's have a look. H of x is the following function of x. Okay, so h is the name of the function that's referring to y, and the is the function of x, meaning this is my independent variable. Where m and r, what happened there, a positive constant. What that means that these two are numbers. And they are positive because they are telling me that they are positive constants, so that means a positive value, positive numbers. Okay. And then we have a quadratic equation. We have our x to the power of 2. We have our x. This is the number that stands beside x to the power of 2. This is the number that stands beside x. And that's number without x. So that means that's my a, that's my b, and that's my c in my quadratic equation. And now they are saying that the equation, that h function, has exactly one solution. Now, in what situation have one solution? When y is equal 0. What kind of situation is that? When I have a graph of the function, the only time y will equal 0, if my graph cuts the x-axis, because those 2 points, doesn't matter what will be the value of x, the value of y always going to be 0. Now, what does it mean, one solution? Because we know the graph can cut our x-axis this way, but as well, our graph can be just touching our x-axis in one place. Therefore, there are 2 roots in one place, and they will be the same value, let's say 5. That doesn't mean there is one root. There are 2 roots in one place. That's basically what it means. Okay, so how do I find that? How do we find the roots of quadratic equation? Our minus b formula. Let's go to our table, page 20. Let's take our minus b formula from here. So that's how we find the roots of every quadratic equation. Now, that one solution. So the point, is it cutting in 2 places? Is it cutting in one? Or one situation we didn't talk about here, doesn't cut at all, okay, is determined by this value here under the square root. That value here and that value here have no influence over it. But only this value of under the square root will determine what kind of situation we have. If we are talking about 2 solutions, that means that value under the square root, so my b to the power of 2 minus 4 multiplied by a by c, has to be positive. That means greater than 0. If it has only one solution, that value under the square root will equal 0. And in this solution, when I have no real roots, basically, that's what it means when I have imaginary roots, therefore my function, my value under x will be, negative, will be less than 0. Okay, now if you are looking for, if they didn't specify one solution, if they say real number or real solution or real roots, therefore we're going to say, well, it could be 1 or it could be 2. Yeah, so both of those, if only it say has a real solution. But here we are concerned with only one solution, therefore my value will equal 0 here. So that's just simple substitution. So what's the value of b? Here we have minus 4r to the power of 2 minus 4 multiplied by a value stand beside x to the power of 2, which is 6m, multiplied by c value, and c value is that last number without x beside it. And we are saying that should equal 0. Now, the good thing, we know where we are arriving. R on one side, 9m on the other side. So let's work our numbers. Minus 4 to the power of 2, we put it in the calculator, we get is 16. And then r to the power of 2. And then we put in our calculator minus 4 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 54. And the value we should get is minus 1,296. And let's not forget to multiply m by m, and therefore we have m to the power of 2, and that equals 0. Where am I going? r on its own, number with n on the other side. So we take this number to the other side of the equation. What happened then? It changes the sign to the opposite, so therefore negative becomes positive. Okay, and the last thing to get rid of here is that 16. That's a multiplication. How do we eliminate multiplication? We divide, and we divide both sides of the equation, because 16 divided by 16 is 1. 1 multiplied by r to the power of 2 will be r to the power of 2. Now, I'm having that power of 2. I'm just going to, let's write it that way. It doesn't actually matter. Now, what do I do? How do I eliminate that power of 2? When we want to eliminate the power, we take a root of the other side. In this case, it will be the square root. But how do I do it when I have a letter under that root? Well, let's not forget that if I have a fraction under the root, I can write each top and the bottom under a separate root. Now, if I am considering the top of the fraction, so if I have two numbers that are multiplied under the root, I can write them as a separate multiplication. So basically what that means here, I could say it is a square root of 1296 multiplied by square root of m to the power of 2 and multiplied by square root of 16. And again, those two will give me values. So if I put that in my calculator, I am going to get 36 on top of the fraction divided by 4. So that's the first thing. What happened here when I don't have a value? So again, when you have a number taken to the power of 2 under the square root, it will equal that number. Or if you have a number under the square root and that is taken to the power of 2, it will equal that number. Or if I have a square root multiplied by a square root, it will equal that number. They are all the same thing. So that means that will equal m. And again, if we put 36 divided by 4 in my calculator, we're going to get 9. So yes, indeed, r equal 9m. Okay, let's have a look at next part of this question. Okay, so use the fact r equal 9 multiplied by m to find the value of this solution. So what solution we were saying? That solution, that one solution, one root. So again, how do we find roots of quadratic equation? Let's take our minus b formula. That's how we find, where did you disappear? Let's get you here. That's how we find the roots. Now, and we have option either. So again, let's identify value of a. It was number that stands beside x to the power of 2. Value of b, number that stands beside x. And value of c, number without x. Now, they are reminding us that r is 9m. So that means minus 4 multiplied by 9 multiplied by m. That's my value of b. Okay. And either I can sub them all in place of a, b, and c and work my numbers, and it will work. Or since I know the idea was that this value is 0, I can leave that. I can bypass it because I know that if I'm going to replace b and a and c with these values here, I am going to get 0 here. That's what you will get. If you are curious, work it out. But we can say that since that is 0, then minus value of b is what? Minus 4 multiplied by 9 multiplied by m, right? And then on the bottom of the fraction, I have 2 multiplied by value of a, and we said that 6m. So again, if I put that in my calculator, minus 4 multiplied by 9, what we are going to get there will be 36. And then 2 multiplied by 6, that will be 12. Now, m divided by m will be 1, and 36 divided by 12 again in our calculator will be 3. So value of that x of that one solution is 3. But I'm saying even if you put those values in here, you will get 0 here. Okay? Have a go at it. Great practice.